Dear students, welcome you all. In the last class, we have discussed in detail about the important operations that are involved in making man-made fibers. So if you just go back to the last class, where in that important operations, we have seen two important operations. One is production of polymer and second one is conversion of polymer into fiber or continuous length of yarn. So these two things are very important in important operations in making man-made fibers. If you look at production of polymer, where there are two important mechanisms like condensation polymerization technique and additional polymerization technique. These two are the important polymerization techniques through which these polymers are produced, and then after production of the polymer, that particular polymer is taken for making continuous length of yarn by means of a process called spinning process. So generally, in the process of making polymer to continuous length of yarn, there are two important spinning techniques that are available. One is melt spinning technique, where we are melting the polymer through which we are getting continuous length of yarns. In case of solution spinning, instead of melting the polymer, we are taking the polymer and we are dissolving the polymer in a suitable solvent, and that polymer solution we are taking for production of continuous length of yarns. Understand? So by means of these two principles, spinning techniques, we are producing continuous length of yarns. This is called as spinning process. Once the spinning is done, we cannot wind the yarns as such onto bobbins. Why? Because still the yarns or filaments are not settled. So in the process of doing it settle or to make it solidify or to make it easily processable for the next processes, what we are doing is we are doing some kind of post-spinning operations. In these post-spinning operations, what we are doing is we are applying a temporary finish called spin finish to reduce the static charge generation and also to improve the lubricity on the filament yarns. And also we will be going for a process called drawing process, which is very important operation, which helps to orient the fiber structure. Orientation in the fiber structure or filament structure, which decides the final properties of the filaments. Understand? After drawing, in order to make the filaments dimensionally stable, we will be going for heat setting operations also. Okay, so these three are nothing but the post-spinning operations. So in the process of making man-made fibers, we have to produce a polymer first, and from the polymer we have to produce continuous filament of yarns either through melt spinning or solution spinning. Once the spinning is completed, we have to go for post-spinning operations, which is nothing but spinning, drawing and then heat setting operations. Okay, so this is all we have discussed in the last class. Okay, so today's class, our topic is principles of fiber forming polymers. Principles of fiber forming polymers. So if you just observe this name, where you can able to understand, so what is the importance of this topic is. So why? Because here we are using a polymer which is from which we are making continuous length of yarns. Obviously, whatever the yarns we are producing, that we are going to use it for the particular application. Is it right? We are going to use the particular yarns or particular fibers for end use applications. So in order to fulfill the purpose of particular end use application, where we have to select the polymer that should have some kind of properties. Understand? This is what the topic we will be discussing in today's class. Okay, now so let us look at the objectives of this topic is to impart the knowledge in different principles of forming man-made fiber like as a polymer and to produce desirable qualities in the man-made fiber. And the outcome you are going to get at the end of this presentation is you will be able to understand the different properties required for a polymer to make it continuous length of yarn with required characteristics. And also, if you want to, your application is this. Suppose you want to make your polymer or your filament so highly suitable for apparel purposes like polyester. So what kind of properties you are expecting in a particular polymer you are selecting to make continuous length of yarn, which is nothing but polyester. So that kind of knowledge you will be getting at the end of this topic. Okay. Now, so before discussing in detail about the different principles that are required for a fiber forming polymer, first we will try to understand what is a polymer and what is the input material for making a polymer. So here you can see a polymer is a substance or a material which consists of large molecules. So poly is nothing but many. Okay, it's a large molecules or macromolecules composed of many repeating subunits. These subunits are nothing but the monomers. So here you can see in the image where the monomers, which is nothing but mono stands for single, mer stands for unit. So with a combination of n number of monomers, so where it results in a polymer. It results in a polymer through a process called polymerization process. Even in the last class also we have discussed about this polymerization process. So where we have seen in detail about condensation polymerization and additional polymerization technique in the process of making a polymer. Okay. So due to the broad spectrum of properties, both synthetic and natural polymers plays essential and ubiquitous roles in each and every day-to-day life. Okay. Now, the various polymers which constitute the polymer system of fibers may or may not meet all these requirements. So those polymers which are meeting the requirements, that polymers only we are selecting to make continuous length of yarn, thereby the particular application or particular purpose is fulfilled. Okay. However, the polymer system of commonly used textile fibers which meet all the above requirements, whatever the requirements that we are expecting from a polymer. So these are some of the polymers which we are using widely in day-to-day applications like acetates, acrylic fibers, cotton, flax, nylon, polyester, silk, viscose rayon, and then wool fibers. Why? Because whatever the polymer system which is there among these fibers, so which is very, very useful and which fulfills the particular purpose. If you take cotton, which consists of a polymer called cellulose. If you take polyester, which consists of a polymer called, which is nothing but the name itself, it is a polymer. So where it is having required strength, required abrasion resistance, is having resistance to wrinkles. Likewise, there are n number of properties are there with a particular polymer which meets the particular application. Understand? Now, if you look at the principles, if you see all the principles one by one, the important principle is, the first and foremost important principle is hydrophilic. What do you mean by hydrophilic? What do you mean by hydrophilic? Which is nothing but water loving. Water loving. That means a polymer which is there, suppose if you take a polymer for cotton, which is nothing but cellulose. So if you put a drop of water onto the polymer or the cotton fiber, what will happen? It starts absorbing. Why? Because the polymer is hydrophilic. Suppose if you take a polymer which is there in a polyester, if you put a drop of water, it won't absorb it immediately. That is because of the polymer is hydrophobic. So likewise, the hydrophilicity is very, very important property which primarily decides the end use application. Suppose if the polymer is more hydrophilic, where it is directly meant for the apparel purposes, or the garments which are meant for the direct contact to the skin. Understand? So likewise, depending upon the particular property of a polymer, where its particular end use application is going to decide. And the next one is chemically resistant. That means the polymer which we are selecting, that should be chemically resistant. That means it should not easily degraded by the chemicals. It should not easily degraded with the chemicals. So whatever the structure which is there in the polymer, that should be highly compact and it should not easily destroyed by the whatever it is, the type of chemical under normal conditions. Okay. And the third important property or principle is linearity. That means whatever the polymers we are selecting for a fiber forming process, the polymer should be linear. That means it should be straight. It should not have any branches. It should not have any branches. So what will happen, say for example, so if a polymer is having branches, now what will happen, say for example, so this is the linear. Suppose if it is having branches in the sense, now it looks like this. Now what will happen, when these two molecules come closer, what will happen? Because of these branches, where these two molecules will not close, will not be in close, so that orientation will not take place properly. Suppose if these two polymers are molecules and a polymer is linear, obviously what will happen? If you take these two molecules closer, what will happen? Some kind of orientation will take place. This results in highly compact structure in a polymer. Understand? This is about linear. The next important property is long. That is, the length of polymer chain should be long. So this primarily decides the strength of a particular polymer. And the next one is, the polymer should be capable of being oriented to create crystalline regions. That means, so whatever the polymer we are selecting, the polymer orientation should be in such a way that where it should easily create the crystalline regions. That means very compact regions in a polymer structure. So these compact regions will make the polymer highly strong and highly resistant towards chemicals. Okay. And the final principle is high melting polymer system. That means whatever the polymer system we are selecting for making fibers, where they should have high melting point. Understand? These are all the different principles of fiber forming polymer. Now we will discuss about each and every principle in detail. Okay. Now, if you look at the different man-made fibers, such as fibers based on chloro, that is polyvinyl chloride, and polyethylene, polypropylene fibers, which are restricted in their textile use because they do not satisfactorily meet whatever the properties which we have seen, the first, fifth and sixth properties. Okay, so that's why these fibers are not widely used in apparel applications. And natural cellulosic fibers such as abaca, coir, hemp, jute, kenaf, rami and sisal have very restricted textile applications because of they are very stiff. Understand? So likewise, some of the properties in whatever the polymers which are available, existing polymers are the polymers which we are creating, where they are lagging with some of the properties. So that's why, so these fibers are not used, much widely used in the textile applications. Okay. Now let us start discussing about this hydrophilic property. Okay. Now, as I told you in the last slide itself, hydrophilicity, it is nothing but water absorbing property of a polymer. So this is the property of a polymer which decides the primary application of polymer in the area, that is whatever the area which is meant for. Okay. The fiber polymers, whatever the polymers we are selecting to make the fiber, that should be hydrophilic. And whatever the polar nature of fiber and amorphous polymer system of fiber are responsible to absorb the moisture. So if a polymer is there which is absorbing the moisture or absorbing water, that means that the polymer, it consists of the polar groups, for example OH groups, and the polymer should consist of a region called amorphous regions. That means where the regions which are having some kind of gaps, that means where the molecules are arranged randomly. That means because of that random arrangement of molecules, where some kind of gaps are created in the polymer structure. So we have another region in a polymer called crystalline regions, where the molecules in a polymer arranged very, very compactly with each other, that is very close to each other. Because of the closeness, what will happen is a compact structure is created in a polymer structure. That compact structure so is making the polymer hydrophobic. Okay. And whatever the amorphous polymer system is there, where the crystalline polymer system of fiber doesn't allow even very small molecules such as water to enter into the fiber structure. This explains the poor moisture absorbency of all synthetic fiber, which are very crystalline in nature. As I told you already, the polar groups, which is nothing but the chemical groups which influences the moisture absorbency of a polymer. For example, we have hydroxyl groups or OH groups of cellulose which attract the water molecules easily, which makes the polymer highly absorbent towards the moisture. And what are the dye particles? Okay. Here you can see the representations. The first one is, here you can see the surface is a polymer system. You can see this is a polymer where here the complete wetting is taking place, and here this is the second polymer where you can see the wetting is good. That means you can see the droplet here in this case, whatever the droplet we are putting, that is completely absorbed by the fiber. Whereas in case of the second diagram, and whatever the water droplet we are putting on a polymer surface, where it is not absorbed completely. Instead of that, where some part of water molecules has been absorbed by the polymer system here. Okay. Now, so when it comes to the third one, the polymer system, here you can see where this is the water droplet. Even after putting the water droplet onto the polymer system, where you can see the droplet is not absorbed by the polymer which we are putting the water molecules. So this tells that the polymer system which is there, which results in the poor wetting, it denotes that the polymer system is completely hydrophobic or fully hydrophobic, and whatever the polymer system which is there in the first case, which is nothing but a highly hydrophilic in nature, and the second one is in between. It stands in between this complete wetting and then bad wetting of polymer systems. So if you look at some of the examples of hydrophobic polymers, fibers like nylon and polyester are often blended with cotton, viscose and wool to make it comfortable to use in apparels. Okay, now we will see a video which is about the differences. You can easily understand what is hydrophobicity and what is hydrophilicity. What is the difference between hydrophobic and hydrophilicity of a polymers. Now you can see the video. The next important principle of a fiber forming polymer is the polymer should be chemically resistant. So the close packing of polymers prevents the ready entry of chemicals. The close packing of polymers that will prevent the ready entry of chemicals. And more the polymer system is crystalline, which makes the polymer highly compact in nature, and more will be the resistance of fiber against degradation by chemicals. So here you have to understand an important thing, which is about the close packing of molecules in a polymer system. Close packing of molecules in a polymer system. And higher the polymer is having this close packing of molecules, obviously it is having high resistance towards the chemical degradation. So thus, many synthetic fibers that are used in the industry to make filter fabrics and protective clothing. That is because of most of the synthetic fibers are highly chemically resistant, Okay. Now, the most required property of chemically resistant polymer should be such that it should not be toxic or it should not be hazardous to wear against the human skin. That means whatever the chemically resistant polymers we are wearing next to the skin, where that should not be toxic and that should not be hazardous to human skin. That is the one important property of a chemically resistant polymer. Now you can see here in this image, so whatever it may be the chemicals we are treating with, the number 2 and 4, where the polymer is not at all degraded with in the presence of chemicals. That shows the polymer is chemically resistant. Okay. The next important property of a fiber forming polymer is, that is, linearity. Okay. The fiber forming polymer, it should not be branched. It should not be branched. Okay. The highly linear polymers will form more crystalline regions, which results in a large number of intermolecular forces. So a polymer is there which is a linear polymer. That means the molecules inside the polymer are linear. So that means the two molecules in a polymer, so when it comes closer, so it results in the intermolecular forces. It results in attraction between these two molecules. So where it makes a polymer highly crystalline in structure. Okay. Only linear polymer results in a polymer alignment which brings sufficient interpolymer forces of attraction to give a cohesive polymer system, and hence a useful fiber will produce. In manufacturing of man-made fiber, it should have a right stereopolymer for the extrusion of textile filaments. And the linear polymers can assume various configurations. If it is a branched polymer, where it is difficult for the polymer to attain different configurations. And the branched polymers, it will prevent the close packing of polymers, unlike in the case of linear polymers. Now you can see a linear polymer, how it looks like, where it should not have any kind of branches and it should be straight. And when it comes to a branched polymer, you can see a polymer system where it is having some kind of branches. Understand? So these branches will not make the polymer so highly crystalline, so which results in poor attraction of our intermolecular forces. Okay, this is about linearity. The next important principle of a fiber forming polymer is long or length of a polymer chain. The fiber forming polymer should be long. The length of polymer is directly related to its strength of fiber by holding the crystalline regions together. That means the strength of a polymer, it directly we can get it based on the length of polymeric system. To produce a fiber with adequate strength, a polymer length of 100 nanometer is required. So if you want a required strength or adequate strength of a particular polymer, the length of polymer chain, it plays a very, very important role, and it should be minimum of 100 nanometer is required. And polymers of such length can be orient easily, and it results in a highly compact structure in a polymeric system. Okay. The orientation of a polymer to generate to sufficient effective intermolecular forces of attraction to a cohesive polymer system, and hence a useful fiber will produce. So this is about the length. Now you can see here, the longer the length of polymer, more will be the cohesive forces, and the more will be the polymeric system strength that results in a particular fiber. And for this to occur, the polymers have to be aligned or well oriented so that the maximum formation of interpolymer forces or interpolymer forces can take place. Now you can see the strong fiber, it has long path of break. Now you can see the dotted lines inside these molecules, which represents where the length of polymer chain is, or the molecules inside the polymer is high, that is the length is more. And next you can see a strength of fiber which is having a short path of break. short path of break. Now you can see whatever the molecules which are there, which is of short. So obviously what will happen? So if you apply some load on a polymeric system where it starts breaking easily when compared to the long fibers. Okay, the long molecular fibers. So this is about length. The next important property is the ability of a polymeric system to orient itself to create the crystalline regions. Okay, to create crystalline regions. And whatever the fiber forming polymers we are selecting, that should be capable of being oriented. That means, so whatever the molecules inside the polymeric structure, that should be closely arranged, which results in a compact structure in a polymeric polymer. That will result in the high strength of a particular polymer. And whatever the polymers are there that are aligned into more or less parallel order in the direction of longitudinal axis of a fiber or filament. And the orientations of polymer in the polymeric system of any fiber, which consists of mainly two forms. One is amorphous. The two forms of polymer orientations are, one is amorphous region, which is also called as random arrangement of molecules in a polymer, and the second one is crystalline regions, which is nothing but highly ordered regions, close packing of molecules in a polymer system, or highly oriented regions in a polymer. Understand? So there are two forms of polymer orientations are there. One is amorphous region, which indicates the random arrangement of molecules in a polymer, and second one is crystalline regions, which is nothing but highly oriented regions, or we can say that highly ordered regions or highly compact arrangement of molecules. Okay, now you can see here the crystalline regions and amorphous regions. From the illustration, you can easily understand, if you carefully observe these crystalline regions, where you can see the compact arrangement of molecules are there, where the close arrangement of molecules are there. When it comes to amorphous region, where you can see some kind of gaps are there in between the polymeric system, that results in where the random arrangement of molecules are, that results in the gaps inside the polymeric structure. And one more thing I want to tell you at this point, whatever these close packing of molecules are there, which is nothing but crystalline regions, that will not allow the water molecules or the dye molecules not to enter inside the polymeric system, which makes the polymer hydrophobic in nature. When it comes to amorphous region, because of the presence of gaps, what will happen is, if we put a drop of water on a polymeric system where the water particles can absorb easily by these amorphous regions, so which makes the polymer so absorbent towards, either it may be towards water or dye particles. Understand? Depending upon the proportions of crystalline region and amorphous regions in a polymeric structure, where the property of whether hydrophilicity or hydrophobicity of a polymer will decide. For example, if you take a fiber cotton, so which consists of 60 to 70% of crystalline region and 40 to 60% of amorphous region, 40 to 50% of amorphous region. So obviously what will happen? The fiber is strong, that is because of crystalline regions, and at the same time the fiber is capable of absorbing moisture, that is because of amorphous regions. But when you take a polymer, polyester, which consists of more than 90% of 90 or 95% of crystalline regions, more than 90 to 95% of crystalline regions, which makes a polymer highly hydrophobic in nature, where the amorphous region is very less. That's why it won't absorb the moisture. And if you compare the moisture regain values of cotton and polyester, in case of cotton the regain is 8%, 7 to 8%. When it is in the case of polyester, it is only 0.4 percentage. So from this easily you can understand, so what is the importance of arrangement of molecules in a polymer, and how it will influences the final properties of a particular polymer. Okay. The next important property of a fiber forming polymer is the polymer should be of having high melting point. What do you mean by melting point here? If you take a polymer and if you start heating it, so at one point, at one temperature, okay, what will happen is the solid starts melting. So that particular temperature we call it as melting temperature. Okay, so here our context is whatever the polymer we have selected, that should be of having high melting point. So we can say that the polymer should be having a melting point more than 200 or 220 degrees Celsius. Okay, now whatever the fibers we have selected must have high melting point to withstand the most extreme heat conditions. Sometimes we are using these fibers which is made out of the polymer, that is synthetic polymers, where we are using in extreme heat conditions. That time where the polymer or the fiber should not be affected by that temperature. And the melting point of a fiber, it needs to be above 225 degrees Celsius. So if it is to be useful for textile manufacturers and apparel use. The longer the polymer and better the orientation and the more intermolecular forces will be there. Obviously, whatever the cohesive polymer which is produced, which is having higher melting point. Here you can relate this, the property of melting point, with a longer polymer and their orientation with their intermolecular forces. Now you can see the longer the polymer and better will be the orientation and more will be the intermolecular or interpolymer forces. Obviously a cohesive polymer will make which is having higher melting point. So we can relate all these things. Now whatever the heat or kinetic energy will be required to break intermolecular forces of attraction and free the polymer from each other. So whatever the heat we are giving or whatever the kinetic energy we are supplying, so that should break these intermolecular forces. Suppose, say for example, whatever the intermolecular forces or interpolymer forces are more because of its high orientation, obviously what will happen? It needs lot of heat or it needs lot of kinetic energy to break that interpolymer forces. So obviously what will happen? The polymer attains high melting, the ability of high melting point. Okay. So this following or moving of polymer in a mass is seen and recognized as a melting of fiber. Okay. Now this is all about the principles of fiber forming polymer. Okay. Till now we have discussed in detail about what are the different principles that are required for a fiber forming polymer to make it more useful for end use applications of a particular end use applications. So where we have discussed a principle of different principles. The first one is hydrophilicity. Whatever the polymer system we are selecting, that should be highly hydrophilic in nature. That means it should be capable of easily absorbing the moisture. And the second one is the polymer should be highly chemically resistant. That means the selected polymer should not be easily degraded or affected by the presence of chemicals. And the third one is the polymer system should be highly linear. That means they should not have any branches. And the fourth one is the length of polymeric chains should be long. If it is long, where the molecule chains are long, it results in high strength of a particular polymer. And the fifth one is where the polymer should be capable of orient itself and to make highly crystalline regions, which will decide the final properties like absorbance and strength of a particular polymer. And finally, the polymer should be of high melting point. So where whatever the polymers we are selecting, where for textile applications or apparels, where the polymer should capable of withstanding above up to 200 to 220 degrees Celsius. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you all. In the next class, we will discuss about various parameters of a polymer which we are selecting for a fiber forming process, and glass transition, importance of glass transition, temperature. Okay, thank you.